It's Tuesday, July 24th of 2018, and this is the second day of me trying to get home from Macstock 2018, which means there's going to be a lot more of guys' daily drives before I get home. And good rainy, foggy morning. I mean, this is just not a good looking day. You know, I left yesterday from Chicago, and skies were clear, skies were blue. Felt good. A little tired, but felt good. You know, had such a great time at Macstock. And the weather got progressively worse, and not all that bad. It didn't even rain, but the sun went away and it got a little colder, and it just a little gloomier than it was when I'd first started out. And when I left home to go to Chicago for Macstock or Woodstock, Illinois, I got like 600 miles. I got about 600 miles in that first. I'll have to check it some other time. But I got all the way from D.C., the D.C. area, to Lafayette, Indiana, which that's a pretty good distance. That was probably like 600 miles. So when I left yesterday, I was thinking, if I really, really push it, I could probably almost get home. Well, I didn't really push it because I couldn't really push it. And I only got about as far as Columbus, Ohio, which I think is somewhere between 300 and 400 miles, maybe a little more, not much more than that. But as I was going around the city, I could just feel the energy draining from me, and that's a sign when I'm driving that I really need to stop. And I had taken plenty of breaks on my way. I had stopped and got gas, and stopped and got some more stuff to drink. There was this really cool kind of candle outlet store, I don't really know what else to call it, that I stopped at because I'd seen it on my way there last Wednesday. And I told myself that if I went the same way home that I did on Wednesday, that I would stop there. And I did, because I'm again avoiding all the turnpikes. I'm avoiding the Indiana Turnpike, the Ohio Turnpike, and thank God the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And yeah, it adds about an hour to the trip, as I said previously. But I would rather do that than just deal with the frustration and the cost and everything else of doing those drives along those roads. So, I made plenty of stops. And I even stopped at I guess it was about 2:30. I was starting to get a little hungry. I had avoided eating lunch. And I hadn't really, other than some potato chips that I had here in the car, I hadn't really eaten anything since breakfast at 6 o'clock with Bob Levitas before I took him to the airport. So I stopped at a Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, and got a hamburger and some fries and this really, really tasty peanut butter cup milkshake. Oh my God, that was so good. But I think just between the sudden influx of really heavy food, which I need to stop doing, and the big heavy milkshake, and just the long drive, and not getting much sleep on Sunday night, just led to me being kind of exhausted when, I got as far as I did. And I guess, maybe I could have pushed it for another hour or so. But there really wasn't any choice, any point, since I was going to have to stop anyway. And why risk it? Even doing something like this, Guy's Daily Drive, this would be considered probably distracted driving, even though I'm not doing anything that's as unusual as I would be if there was somebody here in the car that I was talking to. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm not just making wild gestures and looking up stuff on the internet to talk about while I'm this guy's making me crazy. There's a guy just to the left of me who's like just hanging right at my back bumper. It's like, dude, either pass me or don't. So I took the choice out of his hands and just went ahead and sped up and got into the other lane. But see, that's what I mean. You have to pay attention to what you're doing when you're driving a car. Which is why when I do Guy's Daily Drive, I'm still very cognizant of what's going on around me. I'm not, doing lots of things that would distract me from the main thing that I should be doing, which is driving. So I got as far, as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted, Mr. Black Honda. Got as far as Columbus and decided to stop, and oddly enough stayed at another Hampton Inn. That seems to be the theme this trip. Stayed at a Hampton in Woodstock or Crystal Lake or whatever the name of that town is. That's real close to Woodstock that we all stayed at. And then the hotel I stopped at last night, just south of Columbus, well, that was also a Hampton Inn. And it was very nice. It was attached to some racetrack. So, when I was checking in, they were like, well, do you want a room that, overlooks the racetrack? And I looked at them, and I said, well, are there races tonight? And they were like, no, not till tomorrow. And I just kind of gave them that look like, well, then what difference does it make? I'm going to be looking out of my room at either a nearly empty parking lot or an empty racetrack. Who cares? Does it really matter? So, but they were I'm making it sound like I was kind of a dick to them. But I wasn't. These were a couple of nice kids. One of them, I guess, had just joined and was still kind of going through training. And they were very nice. I guess, they were just offering me the choice. But I didn't care, and I ended up with a room overlooking the parking lot, which, as it turned out, didn't matter either, because I got into the room and, just starting to relax a little bit. And I took my laptop and everything else up into the room with me. And my plan was to knock out the 2 Guys Daily Drives that I did yesterday while I was driving, obviously. But by the time I just kind of relaxed a little bit, turned on the TV, passed out. When I woke up, and I got into the room, it was like 4, 5 o'clock. It wasn't that late. Passed out till 9. So, sat up, and at that point, I still could have gotten out the electronics and started all that up. But honestly, I just could not muster the energy or the will to do so. So, closed the shade that overlooked the nearly empty parking lot that was my view from the Hampton Hotel, and went back to sleep. Didn't get up until, I guess it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock this morning, Tuesday morning. So, I don't know what was going on, but I certainly needed a lot of sleep, and then I got it last night. So the way things are looking right now, I'm going to probably be home. It was when I first left the hotel, it was telling me that I had roughly 400 miles to go, and that I would be home sometime around 2:30 or so. But I'm thinking that between breaks, bathroom breaks and what have you, that I probably won't be home until sometime between 3 and 4. Maybe even a little bit later, it depends. I'm not in a huge hurry, and as just so long as I get home today, while it's still, while the sun is still out. I don't really care what time I wheel in. So that's a recap of everything that happened yesterday. Yay, I drove and then got tired and stopped and got a hotel room. That was really about it. And now here I am driving again on my way home from Macstock. The car is handled really well. I'm very happy with it. It only has, like I said, the 4-cylinder engine. So when I start going up hills, steep hills, that thing revs up like a mother. It just gets way, way, way up there. But that's okay. If you'd like to support the ramblings that I do, such as Guy's Daily Drive today, and probably the one later on, you can send me some money. Yeah, Patreon. I am Mac Parrot. Also, Ko-fi. You can send me money via Ko-fi. And that's also Mac Parrot. If you want to get a hold of me, my email address is guy@mymac.com. Probably. But probably the best way to get a hold of me is via the Twitters, where my screen name there is Mac Parrot, all one word. You can find me, of course, not only here on Guy's Daily Drive, but also Wednesday nights live on the Facebooks. Just look for me, Guy Searle. If you're part of the Mac to the Future group, I simulcast it over to there. And it's like typically a half hour to an hour of myself and someone else, usually Warren Sklar, talking about whatever kind of crazy Apple stuff comes into our heads. So that's going to about do it. Thank you all so very much for downloading and either watching or listening, because this is also now available in the iTunes, in the tunes of I, or the podcatcher of your choice, as Guy's Daily Drive, where it's just an audio podcast. Thanks again, and I will most likely talk to you guys later on today.